Welcome to Career Buzz, Canada's unique radio conversation that empowers lives, enriches careers, and energizes organizations. In studio, we have live quite a few of the dancers who are going to share with us their background, some of the behind-the-scenes information regarding the show, and we're excited to have all of you. We're going to start with Amy Wright, who joins us on my left.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we have Alexandra Chaves.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you. And
Allie Goodbun.
Allie Goodbun.
And Isaiah Peck.
And Isaiah Peck. So on today's show, we're going to really go deep, folks, because we want to know, a lot of individuals who are listening to the show want to know more than about just what it takes to be a professional dancer. So why don't we start with you, Amy?
I am a choreographer, and I also do casting, and sometimes I get to be a producer. So I'm also a mom and somebody who's grown up in the dance world, loving dance, loving working with youth, and I don't know, I think that's me.
And how did the next step come about, and how did your involvement come about with it as well?
The next step was a very exciting project that a man named Frank Van Keeken started to create and explore the world of dance on television, and especially the world of dance through high school age performers. So it was something that tweens want to look up to those high school age. So it fit this niche of a show that's never really been done with So You Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars, and the popularity of dance coming. It seemed fitting that there be a new tween show with dance and drama. And it was very exciting for the network Family Channel to have a soap opera style show that at the end of each episode there's a cliffhanger. And so it's almost going back to the television that I knew when I was growing up, where you had to watch and wait for the next week to find out what happens to your character. So it's taking TV to this exciting level where the tweens all of a sudden at the end of Friday night are like, what will happen next week? And so it's brought this real excitement, I'm going to say, back to television for young audiences.
And what has the reception been like?
The reception of The Next Step has been unbelievably fantastic. We started in Canada. I believe that we were the biggest release on Family Channel. We had the greatest number of fans that tuned in to the first episode. So from the likability in Canada and all the fans tuning in, then the show started airing worldwide. And now it's a massive hit in the UK and Australia, even Italy, people in Ireland and Croatia. You know, we have fans from all around the world that are now watching the show and as well following it on social media.
And I understand there are also a lot of products as well that also come with the show.
Yes, and it's the fantastic thing is that people love to dance. People love to watch dance. People also love the drama. So you can get a T-shirt with your favorite dancers on it. There are posters. There are now world tours where these kids have become, you're not really kids, you guys. You're almost adults, but they now go around the world, and it's exciting for us as Canadians to all of a sudden see yourself on a T-shirt being worn by a kid in England, or there was even a pillow and a blanket with their faces on it. So it's this most amazing, unreal. I'm putting words in your mouth. I find it unreal, and I'm not even in the show, but I'm like, those are my kids on a pillow, and wow. So it's really exciting.
Now, this career, working in the field of dance, is already in and of itself a hard one. It's a challenging one. A lot of work is involved. What does a typical day look like on the set for the dance artists?
A typical day starts with them arriving very early, sometimes 6 a.m., 6:30, maybe even earlier, depending on how extensive their hair and makeup needs to be for the day.
And they're nodding their heads. I see nods.
Yes. We start shooting every morning at 7:30. It's a regular, like clockwork. The day will involve, if there are dance scenes, we typically shoot them in the morning because physically, you don't want to save that till the end of the day. You want your burst of energy and your greatest moments of spontaneous dance. However, it is hard to pull that out at 7:30 a.m. But we usually shoot dance through the morning. Lunch break is always at 1:30. The afternoon is typically the scenes, and then they go to what we call talking heads or to cameras, which is those confessionals to camera. So they each have one-on-one time to answer questions about what happened when you saw Isaiah trip. Not that you've ever tripped on TV. But how did you feel? And Alexandra, when I saw Isaiah do that move, and they actually use their own words. And the other thing that happens with these young artists is they also have to go to school. If we are shooting on a school day, they have to go 2 hours a day to tutoring and build that all in. And we're usually finished around 7:30 at night.
Now, let's talk about the school piece. For someone like you, Alexandra,
Yeah.
now you are 16?
15.
15!
Yes.
Yikes. 15 years of age, and you're from Cambridge.
Yes.
You're missing school
Yeah.
sometimes to do this. What are the challenges that come along with that?
Yeah, it was really challenging because we filmed season 4 in September of last year. So I was in grade 9, first semester in high school, and I had to do online. And I was actually looking forward to it because it's different and I'm independent, so I could work on it on my own and not feel discouraged. And we have a great tutor. And I do have a course that I still need to finish, but overall, those 2 hours, you get stuff done, you go home, you do work. It is a lot, but it also develops really good time management skills. And I feel like because of that, I'm a lot better at managing my time and getting stuff done.
Which is one of the things that I wanted to ask as well. What are some of the things that you've noticed that have come out of this for you?
Yeah, every single time, like when I'm in the car driving to Toronto, like today, I'm studying, I'm doing something, because especially in this line of work, like you're busy and you have to sacrifice stuff like school. But if you find places to really use your time wisely, you can get it all done.
All right. Okay. And Allie.
Yes.
Now, Allie, I'm curious to know, now doing this type of work, I would imagine relationships start to develop with the other artists. And what are some of the highlights for you being a part of this cast relationship-wise?
Well, like Alex said, we filmed last September to Christmas, actually. So within those 4 months, I was actually living in Toronto because I'm originally from Woodstock, Ontario, which is quite a drive. So I spent my 4 months here in Toronto, and because of that, I had to learn how to live independently and manage my time getting to and from set, how I was going to do that, what I was doing on my time off because I did not have a car. So, within that time, I developed some relationships with Alex, Isaiah, and some other cast members, and we would make plans to the mall at night, or we would hang out at each other's houses and have pizza or do whatever. So that kind of filled the time well, and yeah, it was a good time.
What are some of the other skills that you've found, Allie, that you've developed throughout this process?
Definitely time management. That's a huge one, especially with school and not living where I'm from. I was actually doing online courses like Alex was with a tutor, so I had to learn how to do online courses as well. But I also had to manage my time coming back to school and getting an English course I was doing through my hometown. So that was very challenging, getting back there and handing in things on time. And yes, that and independence. Obviously, I learned what needed to be done and what I could do on my own time. Also, I learned how to live by myself, how to when I needed to make my food, managing all that. Getting home at 7:30 at night, that was a challenge. I had so much homework to do, and I had to be ready to get up by 6 o'clock the next day. So I knew I had to be in bed early, but also I needed to have dinner in there. I needed to have time to shower. I needed to do everything. So definitely just getting to know a lifestyle, but on your own, I guess.
Right. All right.
The next step shoots an episode every day and a half. Right. So the turnaround is very quick. So if we're doing 40 episodes, it takes 60 days to shoot. And that's a lot of script work. So it's not just the 20-page script. It's the next day there's another 20-page script and another 20-page script.
Right. And Amy, as you're talking about the scripts as well, do you take part in helping the artists memorize, or is there someone on your team that helps them in that process?
I'm in charge of the dance side of it, so I don't worry about the memorization. That's up to them. But on the next step, one of the most exciting things is they really are supposed to use their own words and take what the writers have given these scenarios, and then they bring themselves to the characters. So they do have that freedom to explore. So the script is knowing the scenario and the story and where your character is, and then they have to figure out a way that they would share their own. I would never assume to tell Alexandra to say it. I can help suggest, when I do the dance side, I help suggest an emotion, but also the most exciting thing about the next step is they bring themselves to these characters, which makes them more appealing to the young audiences because they feel like they know them.
All right. Okay. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Career Buzz on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm your host, Nicole Hamilton. And let's talk to Isaiah.
Hey.
Our only male right now in the studio, just for a time being before we bring in our other guests. But Isaiah, when did you join the cast of The Next Step?
I joined in season 4, so that was 2015, I guess. Yeah. And basically it was August. My dad told me that I booked the show on my birthday. So that was the best birthday gift ever.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
And what are some of the highlights for you since the time that you've been on part of the show?
Well, being on set every day is a blessing. I get to enjoy such amazing moments with such beautiful cast members and crew members. And I also got the chance to go on tour with a lot of the previous cast members from season 1 to 3. So being with them and seeing how much the show has grown and what they've built it to be is amazing.
And where did you start?
I started dancing at the age of, well, I've been dancing my whole life. My dad brought me up on a lot of old school hip hop and R&B, so he brought me into that dance environment and that very breakdance type feel. And then at the age of 9, I went to a dance studio in Brampton, Ontario called Jade's Hip Hop Academy, where I learned how to dance professionally and be in the industry and kind of present myself more as a professional dancer instead of it just being a hobby.
Now, your main focus has been hip hop.
Yes.
Now, you've had, of course, an opportunity to focus on other disciplines, right, and broaden your horizons. What was a surprise to you in terms of other disciplines that you've learned that you've come to love?
Well, I go to an art school, Cawthorpe Park. It's in Mississauga, and I take ballet and modern there. And also just being on set around different styles of dancers and different genres of music, I see that everyone has their own fit, and that doesn't mean that you can't do anything else, and they definitely inspire me to try different dances and different styles like that. Actually, my favorite style of dance is in hip-hop. I love it because that's what gets me going, but at the same time, I love watching contemporary and I love watching tap.
All right, okay. And Allie, back to you. I want to really just kind of delve into what it looks like in terms of support. Who is your main source of support in this line of work?
Well, I have great friends back at home. I remember within those 4 months, I had a group chat with all my friends at home, and they made it important that they would keep communication with me and keep that connection. So that was really nice of them. I remember I'd come home and we'd have Skype chats all the time. There'd be like 7 of us online and we'd just be talking. They'd be like, Allie, how was your day? Like, tell me all about it. They think it's the coolest thing, which is so nice of them. Super supportive. Also my family back at home. My mom would always call me and say, how was your day? What dances did you learn today? How are the girls? What did you do on set while you weren't doing anything? What scenes did you do? So it was just a nice starter of conversation, I guess, how my day was going, but definitely family and friends were most important, and I'm so grateful that they kept that connection with me and stayed on top of everything, and they know how much I appreciate their support and everything, so yeah, it was. Okay.
And Isaiah, for that young dancer that wants to break into this field, that wants to be the next step cast member, what advice would you give to them?
Don't let no one discourage you, and continue to work hard and just believe in yourself. You can't be anyone else, so at the end of the day you just have to be the best you can be.
Okay. And Alexandra, what advice would you give?
I would say take risks, because if you go out of your comfort zone and you go to that dance workshop or acting workshop and really explore, you will gain a lot, and also put effort in, and you will get rewarded for that, because it's really important to work hard, and you'll be successful if that happens.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us. We are going to take a quick break, but leaving us now will be Allie Goodbun,
Yes.
Isaiah Peck, my, Nicole, the names. And, of course, Alexandra Chaves will be leaving us. But Amy Wright will be staying with us, and we're going to take a break and bring back another group, another part of your Next Step cast right after this break.
Awesome.
Great.
Very good.
Great.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Welcome back to Career Buzz on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm your host, Nicole Hamilton. And back with me again is now a second group of dancers and artists from The Next Step. Joining me now, in addition to Amy Wright, who stayed with us, is Shelby Bain. And we have Briar Nolet, who is joining us as well, and Myles Erlick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
for
to be
having
here.
us.
Pleasure. Oh, and harmony. Harmony. So, Amy, let's start with you. Now, we know, of course, that you are a choreographer with the show, but you also do some producing.
I do. It's very exciting for me. It was my first credit as a producer. I started with the title of a consulting producer, and I'm now officially producer. It was incredibly exciting.
Yes, Amy.
She took the next step.
No pun intended.
Nice, Nicole.
Well, thank you.
So it's fantastic for me because I feel super connected to the show and the conception and the creation of it, and I helped to build it from its. I birthed it along with Frank and the original writers. To have such a dance-driven show, and I'm a dance-driven person, so the things that I help with when I'm producing, it could be anything from checking out the floor to advising on dance moments in the scripts and dance storylines, and basically anything dance on the show is my department. And to be a producer has just been such an incredible gift for me in that, because it's dancing. So I'm lucky that my passion is also now my career.
Of course. And let's talk about some of those names behind the show. You mentioned some of the other producers. Can you share with us some other names as well that work alongside you?
Yes. So our original executive producer is Frank Van Keeken. He created the show. We now have some new executive producers. Rachel Schaefer. She was an original writer on the show, and she's grown into that role of executive producer. We have Karen McClellan. We have an amazing new sort of parent company called Radical Sheep, and a producer there, Michelle Mellinson. Lori McClarty has been with us since season 1. She's, again, a producer. We just keep growing. As the show grows, it seems we have more. I call all our producers parents because we really are a family on set. So the kids have more aunties and uncles who are looking out for us. And then the company Boat Rocker. So there's the men that run that company, David and Ivan. They drop by set every now and then, and I feel like they're sort of Superman and
Cool.
Spider-Man. They're so cool. They show
cool.
up, and so there are a lot of people looking out for us. Even now that the show airs around the world, those different networks, Family Channel, the people at Family Channel, Sarah Hawes and Michael Goldsmith, really are also our parents, but they're producing the show in a way that they advise and make sure that all of our content is appropriate for children. And then you look as further to, the UK, CBBC, and in Australia where the show's airing. So those networks and those people also embrace the show and the cast, and everyone fosters I'm going to say the greatness of it, if I could say our show is great. So.
And it is indeed. And, I think about the Family Channel as well. Why the Family Channel? What makes this work for the Family Channel?
I believe, the Family Channel's target audience is 8 to 12-year-olds. So that tween audience need and love this sort of drama of watching the dance is inspiring for them. they grow to think, I could do that. And each of our cast members has a unique skill and is totally relatable. So a child could look at Myles and say, I want to be him when I grow up. A different person might see something in Briar. I admire that about Briar, and this is Shelby's strength. So they're inspiring that way to children, and I think Family Channel Network loves that. Plus the drama. So when you're 10 years old and you're wondering, will Myles' character Noah kiss Amanda? I don't know. They like each other. Will they hold hands? And this drama that our audiences seem to love that. And that's another nice fit for Family Channel. We also keep our content very specific to young audiences. You will never see a sports bra, dance top, and a belly button on our show. We want the parents to feel that their children can watch it and they're getting safe storylines, not seeing things that are over-sexualized or the people in our show. There are some you have to have a rival. And it's how do you deal with that rivalry? How do you overcome the challenges? What is true competition? How does your team survive when they're being defeated or people are being nasty? And it's teaching children relationships and how to deal with conflict even. And again, inspiring youth through the storylines.
I mean, I pretty much grew up on the show. I started in season 2, so I was about 12. So I pretty much hit puberty and grew with everyone through the show. And I mean, it's a lot of sacrifice. I mean, even school, you hang out with friends, hang out with family. I mean, going on tour, you're away from your family and friends for months at a time. And thank God for phones and for FaceTime, to keep up to date with them. But it definitely is hard. I mean, it takes a lot of sacrifice. You're on set almost 12 hours a day maybe. So seeing your family, seeing friends, going to school, I mean, you sacrifice all of that. So you end up doing school on a laptop, with a screen. So I thank God to have friends like these guys, on set, and you have so much fun with them. So that makes it easier, to have friends that are in the same boat as you and that care for you and support you and inspire you every day. So it definitely is hard, but, when you have people surrounded by you that are in the same boat and that love you just as much as you love them, it definitely helps for sure.
And when you think about this career choice in particular, is there anything that, as far as the training is concerned, yes, of course, you've had to do a lot of dance training, but what other types of training and preparation, career-wise, have you had to do in order to do this work?
Well, definitely acting classes helps as well. I mean, we pretty much grew up in the dancing world, so we started dancing, I think all of us at definitely a young age, and competitively trained for years. I think once the show came out, we really got into acting classes, so taking more acting workshops, taking self-tape classes, real acting classes kind of came about, and then singing lessons. I know most of us do singing as well, so we kind of have that in our back pockets in case we need it. So definitely a lot of acting, dancing, and singing training, I think, is the main areas that we focus on.
All right. And Myles, in addition to being on the show, you're an actor, you're a singer, you're a dancer. Let's talk about work-life balance. How do you balance all of this work that you're doing between being on the show, et cetera? What suggestions would you even give to an individual that wants to do this? How do you balance everything?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a lot. It's definitely a lot, and I actually grew up on the show as well. I started in season 1, and I was in J Troop. I was very little, and I think my whole life I've just been doing everything. I love music. I love acting. I love singing. I love dancing. And that's something my parents, helped me grow up in. And I think it's just something that I've always wanted to do. And I never want to just do one thing. I like to just try everything. And I think that's what's so cool is that even though, I'm on the show, I'm on the weekends, I'm doing music videos. And then I'm, going and singing and recording in the studio and then coming back to set and acting. And I think the one thing I can say, if you want to try and just do everything, is to, stay motivated. And like Shelby said, is to stay around motivated people and inspiring people and put yourself in that environment. And I'd say on set, that is the most inspiring thing ever. And even with Amy, I mean, I've learned so much from her, and I grew up, working with her. And I think it's it literally is like one big family, on set. And I think that's what's really cool. And to make sure you surround yourself with supportive and positive people.
All right. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Career Buzz on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm your host, Nicole Hamilton, and I'm still here with the folks from The Next Step and the Family Channel. I was about to say the Family Channel, but from both, right?
Yes, pretty much.
One of our listeners, Janae, has a question for all of you, and she wanted to know, was there ever a point in your dance career when you wanted to give up? And if so, why didn't you? Is there anyone that can answer that? Shelby, you look like you're ready to.
Yeah. I mean, there's always times where you want to give up. And, that may just, you've had enough. But I think for me personally, I knew that it's hard right now, but in a year, it's not going to be that hard. Like I will get through it eventually, and I think we can all kind of relate to this and how that it may seem so bad in the moment, but even in a minute, it won't be that bad. So I think you just have to remember to breathe and remember that everything's going to be all right, and there's a plan, and everything happens for a reason. And I think as soon as I understood that everything happens for a reason, that's when I was able to like let go of being scared, I think, if that makes sense. But wanting to give up is, everyone's going to go through it. It happens. And you just have to remember that, that it gets better, and you just have to find the confidence and the... Yeah, I think you just have to find confidence in that you got this and you know what you're doing, and it's all gonna work out. So don't get stuck in that moment.
All right. Yeah. Great answer. And Briar, same question for you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gets hard, especially in the dance world. It is an extremely competitive place. Like, jealousy takes a huge part, and I mean, there's a lot in the competitive world. People at competitions, try and get down on you. Like I was saying, it's so competitive, and there's a lot of jealousy in it. So you really have to stay, like Shelby said, true to yourself. Stay focused on yourself and be self-motivated. Don't look for other people to motivate you, but to stay competitive with yourself and to really just focus on you and be the best that you can be. So for me, I am an extremely competitive person, so I love really being better than myself all the time and getting new things and trying new things. Even if I don't get them, I will get them. Like, I am determined to get it. So I think really staying true to yourself and competitive with yourself and not other people is really a huge thing, because once you start getting in the mindset of, well, what if this person likes me or she's better than me, it really twists your mind. So obviously there's times where you are competitive and you want to be the best and you want to give up sometimes, but like Shelby said, you really have to get through that by just being you and fighting through that, and everything happens for a reason. So if it's meant to happen, it's only going to make you stronger.
All right. And Myles, any insight?
Yeah, I mean, as Briar said, this is a very, very competitive industry. I mean, the whole entertainment business is extremely hard. And I think one thing that I would say, on wanting to give up, I mean, that does happen. And but you have to stay strong, and you have to believe in yourself. And if you want to be a dancer, and maybe you're not the best at the time, but you want to be a dancer, then you go all out with it, and you become the best dancer you can possibly be. So I think just believing in yourself and going all out with it, and not letting people get in your brain and saying you can't do this, you can't do that. You have to just go for it. And a saying that I've always kept in my mind was, you have to be able to sacrifice what you are for who you will become, and that's like sacrificing, maybe not going to a party on the weekend, and that's in putting time into your craft and becoming something greater. So I think that's one thing I would say. Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of no. You're going to go to an audition and be told, no, you're not right for this part. No, you're not right for this part. And like these guys are saying, the sacrifice is in believing in yourself. Eventually, you will be right for that part. And if you take the no's and beat yourself up about it, it's not going to be the right business for you. You can take the no's and say, all right, I'm going to try harder. I'm going to try this differently. Or I'm going to focus on me and my strengths. And at some point, somebody will believe in you.
And in addition to that, Amy, what career advice would you give to an individual that's kind of struggling and saying, I really want to get into this line of work, but it is really competitive. I want to get in, but I don't know how to approach it. What advice would you give?
To youth, obviously you have to have the support of your parents. And if they back you, I always say, try it. You don't know until you're doing it how successful you will be or you won't be. But eventually, if you keep at it, there will be a yes for you. It depends. You all know some people like Coca-Cola and some people like Pepsi. So you go to this particular audition and the person who's running it says, oh, today we want Coca-Cola. So they choose that. And then the next day they want Pepsi. So it's really subjective. You can do your best, and you don't know until you're doing it and trying it what the next step will be for you in your career. So as you're out there trying it, you might fail. You might have a day where you totally bomb and slip and fall, and then you can see your path to the next choice, which will take you to the next decision, to the next audition, and you learn from that audition, which takes you to the next one. So you just sort of have to keep going. And failure is part of it. We have to fail in order to succeed. You can't, nobody is perfect all the time. That's just impossible. And it's taking those failures and learning and saying, wow, I just did this backflip and landed on my head. So what will I do differently next time? I went to this audition and I mucked up my lines. So I know I need to practice my scripts differently. And it's taking those failures and those and learning from them rather than walking out and becoming completely discouraged. And it's hard. It's hard to take that discouraging moment where you didn't. And I'm sure all of you, when you leave an audition and you don't make it, you feel a bit bummed. Yeah. And it's you go home and you might be bummed out for a while. And then you've got to pick yourself up and just keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're going to get 1,000 no's before you get one yes, right? And there was Robert De Niro. I read this one article, and it was you're gonna get your no's, and then you just have to say next. Just move on to the next one. Don't even like. It's not worth worrying about or thinking about. Why spend your time thinking about something that's in that? You can just move on, learn from it, and nail the next one. And I think that's
the next
step. Oh man, yes,
that's right.
Shelby, you've mentioned those no's. Has there been a time when you've had a hard no?
I mean, I auditioned for season 1 of The Next Step, and then I auditioned for season 2, and then I auditioned for season 3, and every time it was a no. But that didn't stop me from still auditioning. I went to the season 4 and I was like, if it's a no, then
I'll come back again.
Then I'll come back again. And I knew that I wasn't going to stop. I wasn't going to let the no get me down. I persevered. I kept going. And I learned so much from the auditions. And I think every audition that you go to is a learning experience. It's a new environment, a new script, a new way for you to learn more about yourself and to improve. And I think everyone in this industry has gotten no's, but you just can't let it get you down. And I at first I was always bummed out. I was always upset, but then I finally learned that my moment is coming. And I think everyone just needs to know that their moment is coming.
And so you're a prime example of sticking with it and not giving up, as was mentioned. It seems to be the theme today.
We are so lucky Shelby came to the season 4 auditions because we wouldn't have had her character if she had decided to be bummed out. And
Exactly.
Yes. You never know.
Briar, what's next for you? Where do you hope this career path will take you?
Well, I definitely hope to get out into Los Angeles soon. I do want to go to UCLA for school, but then continue acting and dancing, of course. I do want to get more into singing as well, so definitely the triple threat thing I want to stick with. So hopefully book some more movies, take classes out in LA, and that vibe out there, it just really picks you up. I mean, there's nothing like it, and it's so inspiring out there. So I think really getting out there and just moving on, and especially obviously staying with The Next Step, but just working on some new projects and seeing what's next. I'm so excited, yeah.
Wonderful. And we're almost out of time, but Myles would like to know the same from you as well.
Yeah, I mean, same as Briar, my family now lives out in LA, so my home is kind of LA now. But it's to just get out there, and I love music, so I kind of just want to make an album. I want to get into that world, keep acting, keep dancing. I never want to just, only do one thing. I wanna do 20 things at once, and that's just who I am and what I love to do. And just keep doing what I love and never stop. And that's all I can say.
All right. And Shelby, what's next for you?
Yeah, I mean, Myles pretty much nailed it. I think it's just I'm going to act. I'm going to dance. I mean, that's what I love to do, and I'm gonna I'm singing right now, so I'm going to lessons every week, and I'm improving. I hope. So
she's amazing. Shelby's a sick singer.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I'm going to school, so in 2 years I'll graduate. It feels like a long time, but I'm just going to keep auditioning and keep dancing and training. And I'm fortunate enough to go on tour with these guys, and
Woo!
I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, great things to come.
And before we close, Amy, get us excited for season 4. What's coming up in
Season
February?
4. There at this point in the series, there is so much drama. One of our sort of most famous couples, James and Riley, are in the middle of a breakup, which is devastating. So the fans will have to wait and see what's going to happen. Will it be Jiley or Ralphie? Noah's Myles' character Noah is going through a lot as well. It's drama and dance. Will we succeed at regionals? It's just super exciting. The final episodes of season 4, I think fans are going to flip out.
For sure. Oh yeah.
They're gonna love it.
Yes.
They're going to
They will love it.
And where can individuals find out more about the next step?
Finding out about the next step, we have family.ca website. Also, all of the cast share a lot on their Instagram.
Yeah.
The next step has its own Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, so much social media.
Twitter.
You can find all of the cast, you can find Family Channel, and you can find the next step. And these guys post all the time.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
do.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you.
Thank
you
you
so
very
much
much for having us.
It's been a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
I love how you all speak in unison. That just gets me excited.
We try.
Thank you all for joining us. And we definitely are excited for season 4 and for all that you've done as well with the show, Amy, and all of the other dance artists and the great work that you're doing. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
And you need to run and take it to the top. Take it to the top. Take it to the top. So we can get along. And you say you wanna set up the score. And you need to run and take it to the top. Take it to the top. Take it to the top. So we can get along. Yeah. I don't like what you're doing, so I'ma help you flow. I don't give handouts, but when I do, take it and go. I gave you peace in my brain, I let that baby go. So when it comes to the pain, man, you already know. Take it to the top, take it to the top, take it to the top, so we can get along. And you say you wanna set up the score.
And that's a wrap.